fine frosty morning for a walk above the sea. And this is Tarbert. Tarbert Loch Fyne. Now the word Tarbert occurs quite commonly in Scotland and it always means the same thing. A neck of land between two lochs. And here the neck of land divides Loch Fyne on the Clyde from the Atlantic, where the West Loch goes out to the Hebrides. And this particular Tarbert became famous way back in the year 1098, when a very special Viking, a Norseman, he was a king of Norway at the age of 20, but he'd been brought up in Scotland. He always wore the kilt, so he was known as Magnus Bareleg. And it was said he was a very unpeaceable man. He wanted to extend the power of the Norsemen, and he saw a very crafty way of doing it, because he'd made an agreement with the King of Scotland that he could take any piece of land round which he could sail with a rudder in place and the sails drawing. When he came to Tarbert and saw this neck of land, it was less than a mile across, he knew the way to make Kintyre into an island. He sat in the long ship, put up the sails, took the tiller, and let the strong men pull him across. And thereby, he won a piece of land which the sagas say was better than any of the Hebrides for Norway. This is not a natural ridge I'm walking on. It's an old defence structure. We don't know how old. What we do know is that a king of Dalriada, King Selbach, in the year 712, burned the fortress that was here. This is the old foundation. And what a situation and what a marvellous morning to be here. The place is just flooded with colour. And you can see how this entrance here is almost invisible from the sea. Then it's landlocked, you sail into the bay, a natural anchorage, a perfect place to take. But the story that goes on from there, from these early days to the story of independence, that's the one that I'm going to follow up. This crumbling tower is what the Tarbert folk tell you is Bruce's castle. Only half the height of what it used to be, covered with ivy now, showing the great antiquity of it. It dates back to 1494, which isn't all that long ago really, because Bruce established a castle here very, very much earlier. Bruce's castle cost £511 to build. Money must have been money in these days. And Bruce actually held a parliament here. Imagine a parliament being held here. Well, it was because Bruce's fortunes at that time weren't anything like as strong as they were to become. So much of the country was in enemy hands. And he saw the importance of Tarbert as a gateway to the west. He saw its future as a trading port. He made it a borough and a sheriffdom. He turned Tarbert into a very important place. King Robert the Bruce, the great military tactician, saw Tarbert as the key to the western approaches, and he decided to prove them himself, because he did as Magnus had done in 1098. He got his galley pulled across from Tarbert across to the West Loch, sailed down and round to Castle Sween to see what was happening there, because things weren't going well there. So when he turned Tarbert into a borough, a seaport, a sheriffdom to enforce the laws, extract customs, he made this place really go. It's grown ever since, and it's still a thriving place. New houses are going up, new boat building yard, and I can see every night that things are happening here, the way the boats are coming round the corner from the Kilbrennan Sound. So let's see what it's doing today. afternoon.
Afternoon. It's Tom Weir.
Correct. I don't know your name.
Mr. McCaffer.
Macaffa.
Yes.
Are you a fisherman?
Yes, a retired fisherman.
And how about the sea area? When you were fishing for herrings, you were out between Arran and Kintyre mostly.
Yes, and Arran and Ayrshire side. Both sides of Arran.
Yes. And where is the prawn fishing done?
Some of the same, something similar on the same ground.
Is it harder work or easier work than the herrings?
Oh, I think it's much easier.
In what way?
Well, they put the net over the side and they may tow for about 3 hours. There's nobody above but the skipper and the wheelhouse. All the rest are down below.
What happened in the herrings?
Well, in the herring, they were on the deck most of the time. There had to be somebody looking over the bow of the boat there to see if they would see any in the phosphorescence.
Would you say it was a good life?
Oh, yes, good life.
And if you had your life...
I enjoyed it anyway.
How many boats are out fishing today?
There'll be 22.
22. When do you think they'll be in tonight?
Any time, I believe, from 6 o'clock onwards.
Will you be down to see them?
Hope so.
Well, so will I. And I'll be looking for you, and I hope there'll be a good catch.
Yep.
Cheerio now.
Cheerio.
Bye. That's Simon the Seal, who lives off Social Security. He just hangs around the harbour and feeds off the boats. A good life. How was the lunch today?
Fairly middling.
Fairly middling. Not as good as you'd hope.
Not very great, no.
Oh, that's a pity. What do you think of it tonight?
Just more or less as usual.
Quite good.
It's just the usual.
So every night in the week this goes on,
Well,
except
it's,
Friday night maybe.
A Thursday night, a few more on a Thursday night, because some of the boats are going to land twice a week. Well, it's steady. It's not extraordinarily good, but it's quite steady.
There's a living in it.
There's a living in it. Just
That's the harbour master, Angus McFarlane, who's always on the go, night and day. But the place where fishermen and tourists come together most often is in one of the bars or hotels that line the quay, where a man might just go for a dram after landing his catch.